Welcome to NocBro Nation.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Daryl.
And I am Josh, and today we're here to give our review of episode 11 of The Walking Dead, Bounty.
Yes, indeed. So, sorry for the video coming out late, but unfortunately there was a family funeral that Josh had to go to, so we apologize.
Yeah, and thank you for all those that commented in the previous video when we mentioned that we would be late. I appreciate your condolences. It was very heartfelt. Thank you again.
Definitely, guys. So, this would be a spoiler warning to anybody who has not seen the episode, but let's get into it.
This is an episode that we have been waiting for.
I don't know about you guys and you, but I was on the edge of my seat, terrified and like freaking out almost the entire episode.
Yeah, I was too. I think I hit the nail on the head when I said that the kingdom stuff would be filler.
A little bit. I mean, there was a little bit.
I think it all, services the same purpose, as in it will tie in towards the end. Because, again, and let's just go into that part of the episode now, because I think the best part, obviously, was all with Alpha and the Whisperers.
Right.
But, this is our kingdom crew that went out on a mission. Actually, no. Let's start with the opening of the episode.
The opening
which was very important. Very important.
The opening was great. We of course, got to see Jesus, which I'll never tire of ever seeing Jesus again.
Yeah.
But the flashback, I mean, it wasn't like a major plot point, but it's feeding into the entire second half of what the fair is about,
very
and what
nicely
these
too.
Communities are trying to get back to.
Very nicely too. Are they adding it in there?
Yeah, very nicely. It's not like long-winded or anything, but I just like the fact that it's embodied the philosophy of what, especially the Hilltop and the Kingdom, are trying to get Michonne to recognize and
something
know that we need.
Something that she already recognized back when Rick was around.
She came up with the charter.
It was exactly. Her idea. And that's what we're talking about here is the episode starts with the Hilltop and Alexandria exchanging and trading goods. And during that exchange and trade, Tara reveals that she had discovered or taken the charter that was just collecting dust at Alexandria because the council and Michonne, we get the sense from this conversation, are just not willing at this time to communicate with the other communities. Trade, communicate, anything at all.
Anything at all. I like the fact that, it wasn't until it cut back to present time with Ezekiel, and I didn't notice this when we did our video about it, was that the sanctuary was on there as well. Yep. So it had all the communities, and this was pre-Rick leaving, of course, but the sanctuary was put on there because at that point in time, the sanctuary was around and they were trying to rebuild with the sanctuary.
And that just goes into, in the previous video, we didn't know if Ezekiel had added those two communities, the Hilltop, or his hair was covering it. And to me, that confirms that, yes, his hair was covering it. They wanted us to think that, they were added later.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's really cool because, so the whole point of the Kingdom going on this mission now, back in present day, was to a supply run for the fair. But not only a supply run for the fair, but King Ezekiel and Jerry had another mission at hand, and that was to uncover a projector bulb so that they could get back to watching movies.
And also a case for the charter.
That was a mission within the mission.
A mission within the mission,
that we find out later on in the episode that, well, Jesus has this secret mission other than the mission, and that was to find a holder for the charter.
And also, it also confirms that Oceanside is still around, because even Ezekiel has said this food will feed us in Oceanside for the next couple of days or weeks. And I was like, oh, okay, Oceanside's still around.
Yeah, back in the flashback.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it was current time. It was after.
Well, Jesus wouldn't have said that.
No, it was current time.
I know, and Jesus wouldn't have said that.
Yeah. What do you mean?
He's dead. You mean Ezekiel?
Did I say Jesus?
Yeah, you said Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the whole mission thing was good. I didn't mind it. Getting the bulb was all right, and getting the case for the charter was cool.
No, I didn't mind it. I just you know, when you have such an amazing reveal and as in Alpha, and you can't wait to get back to that, it seemed like every cut to the kingdom was like, oh no, go back to Alpha.
Yeah. So they get what they need. They are leaving, and we do see a mysterious symbol on a sign. We'll get into that in our predictions, but I think our initial prediction right now is that it's a Whisperer territory sign. Symbol anyway, but we'll get into that later in our predictions. So basically the meat of this episode is all at Hilltop and Alpha. My God, you see the ruthlessness of Alpha in almost every shot.
Yeah.
You know, trying to plead for her daughter, trying to convince...
Plead.
Well, not plead, but demand.
Demand.
Telling Daryl, like, look, you know, I don't want confrontation. It seems like you do. I'm offering you a trade.
I loved when
2 for 1.
I loved when Daryl came out and he was like, look, we could blow you away right now. You're not getting your daughter. And immediately she's like, wrong answer.
Yeah, wrong answer. And I was wondering, like, what she put her hand up and I was like, was she holding something? But it was just a call for more Whisperers to come in. Not that many more came. I mean, 10 more. But
but
of course, we don't know how many are around.
Exactly, and I think that was the goal.
We haven't seen their true numbers.
She was purposely saying, okay, wrong answer, brings out more, and then that leaves the rest of our survivors like, okay, if this group just came out, how many more does she really have?
We really don't know because they could be just chilling in the trees, and they're always there to not be seen. The biggest part of this was the baby.
It was
the baby.
So
my God.
It all starts with Daryl saying to her, look, we have enough firepower to blow you away right now. There's like, what are you doing? You know, like, you want a war, let's do it right now. And it's going to end pretty quickly, pretty much is what he's saying. Until he hears a baby crying. Right. And he says to her, you brought a baby out here? And she says, well, we're animals, right?
Animals live out here. Babies are animals, all that kind of stuff.
Teasing him.
Right, but the coolest part was when because they're being so loud, other walkers are coming in, and one of Alpha's guys was like, you know, walkers are coming, and she's like, all this loud talking, and he asks, what should we do? And she says, keep them contained. So then they go over there and they just keep them in a little circle, keep them contained, which is cool. But then the baby starts crying, and they start coming over, and Alpha just turns and gives her a look like, you see, they're coming. Then she looks back again and she's like,
shrugs her shoulders.
She's like, you gotta do something about, not like, are you gonna do something about it? I think it was like, you need to drop that baby right freaking now.
It was more like, I'm not doing anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
And you are going to do something about it
because they know how to protect themselves. It's like the baby's, it's coming for it. So what are you going to do?
It was a ruthless display of power is what it was.
It was. But the coolest part, like, I love the Connie piece. So Connie is in the, you know, in the corn, and she runs out and gets it. But I really love the perspective of going through somebody with being deaf. You know, we don't know if the actress is truly deaf, where she doesn't hear anything, or maybe she is partially deaf. But you got that sense of, okay, if you were deaf, if you can only hear certain things, how it was all muffled and everything, like you couldn't hear a damn thing.
So cool.
I thought it was
so cool. POV of being inside Connie's head.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Amazing.
And I was scared. That was a scary moment for me. Because I would be freaking out if that was me. I mean, all you hear is muffled sound, and you don't know, as you could see from the scene, you don't know if it's a walker or if it's Daryl, or, you know, in the end, it is Daryl that comes and saves her. But
I'm sure her other senses are heightened. But another cool thing was with Alpha, when Connie went out to get the baby, Alpha looked at some of her other guys and she was like, no. Like, just leave her be. Let her deal with it. And if she gets bit or taken by the walkers, so be it.
Yeah.
We're here for one purpose, and we're just going to stand here. Because guess what? They're not coming to mess with us.
Yeah, no,
so I thought that was cool.
What's interesting and let's just jump to Lydia real quick. Because initially, before Alpha, or as Alpha is approaching the gates, or is at the gates, Henry takes Lydia.
I never thought that was going to happen, but when I saw that happen, I was like, "Oh, damn it, Henry! Now you just screwed everything."
Yeah, and he ends up taking her to the cabin that those kids took him to.
Yeah,
to get drunk. But what was really interesting about this is we get Enid, who tells Daryl, "Let me go talk to him. I have a rapport with him. Let me go talk to him." So she goes out because one of the girls that took Henry out to that cabin, or the girl that took Henry out to that cabin, narked on him.
Figured he would go there. It's kind of the only place to go.
And this is where we get Enid essentially telling Henry
what was in her note from Carl, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And she didn't say Carl, but she didn't have to us.
We knew it. We all knew who she was talking about. I even told him, I was like, I wish they would have said his name, but I get it. But we all know who she was talking about.
Yeah.
So we all know who she was talking about. But I love the fact that, God, what was it? Just surviving isn't surviving, right?
Yeah.
You have to live. You have to live with it. And she's like, it took me a while to understand what he meant. And that's the whole kind of thing was, you have to live with it. And that's kind of, after they gave Lydia back, that's the same thing Daryl said, you have to live with it. But Henry just can't, he can understand it to a certain extent, but he can't move past it.
And
he can't live with that.
I think what Lydia does next really just gets to Henry even more. And she comes out and says, well, my mom broke her own rules coming here and essentially rescuing her, I guess, if you in Alpha's eyes. But
right.
My mom broke her own rules to come get me. Maybe she's changed.
Yeah,
and she goes in and kisses Henry. And
that
right there, Henry. I mean,
Henry was done.
Yeah,
girlfriend of 24 hours. He's done.
Yeah,
but I mean, she also says, and that's the thing with Lydia. Her mind is so twisted. She can't make up her mind yet. Because she even says, maybe my mom misses me. I miss them a little bit. They're my family. They're my people. I miss them. And I'm like, really? You miss them? Like, her mind is so twisted right now that she can't. She'll eventually get there, I think.
Oh,
but
yeah,
she just
absolutely.
can't figure it out at the moment. She's so twisted that she's thinking, she's still holding on to the fact that her mom is good.
Yeah, I mean, this is not in this episode, but there are sneak peeks of Alpha talking to Lydia. And you can see from these conversations, and we'll go back to the episode right after I say this, but you can see from those conversations how warped Lydia's mind is because of the way Alpha
treats her.
Yeah.
Talks to her.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I loved the scene of when Daryl was walking out with Lydia. That music was like, duh.
Oh yeah, it was like,
and Alpha's walking in
big
all
pause.
Like, yeah, dude, duh.
Yeah,
it was my god.
It was heart wrenching
because I still didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
like Alpha's standing there. They have Luke and Alden, still knives to their throats, and Alpha just looks at Lydia and just goes like this. Yep. Not like, hi, honey, how are you? We missed you. Just like, yep, okay.
Did
that's
you
her.
see Luke's skin mask?
Yeah. What kind of Luke's skin mask? Did you see that? What kind of walker had? It was like it's like his face got stomped on. They're like, oh, I can still make it.
Like I was watching Talking Dead and they did a behind the scenes. And a lot of actors were like giving Luke, the actor that portrays Luke, shit because his was all small.
His was small and like squished out. Yeah. It was so weird.
It was funny. But so anyway, back to the Lydia being taken out. Obviously Daryl has no choice but to bring Lydia out. I mean, they have two of their people.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention is I love for the baby part when Alden was like, "Hey, there's a baby there." When Alpha was like, "Look, we're animals. If she can't quiet her own baby, the dead will." And she's like, "Natural selection." She gives that laugh. I was like, "My God!" Like she's ruthless, man. But that is their mentality.
That baby was never going to die.
No, we knew that.
I mean, that's pretty much show suicide if you're going to kill a baby. I think the only show that can get away with that is Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
And they had a chance to do that with Lori and follow the comic book storyline, and they chose not to do that.
That would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
That would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
But I love that the end of the episode. One thing I mentioned to him was, if you remember back in the day when Rick and crew got to Alexandria, of how they hunkered down together in just that one house before they all separated out because they wanted to stay together. That's how Magna's group is. So when they got Luke back, Magna's group is all together. You know, they're just a family, and I loved seeing that. And then, of course, you know, Henry goes out after Lydia like we predicted.
Well, we did miss the Lydia saying mama to her.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
she
hey
got
mama.
Getting slapped. She said, sorry, mama, and thank you for coming for me.
Yeah, and immediately Alpha smacks her.
But her line, though.
And says, you call me Alpha like the rest.
Like the rest. She can never call her anything but Alpha. So
yeah,
it's still showing her power.
Pretty ruthless. Now, I did hear someone, you know, I like to read other comments about the way people perceive the episode. And there was one comment that caught me as, how can Alpha almost kill that baby, you know, sticks by her rules and almost kills the baby, but breaks her rules to go get Lydia. And
it's the thing with Alpha you'll learn down the line.
One of the first comments was, it's Alpha. She makes her own rules. Yeah. And that's right. Like, she does. It's Alpha. She's going to do what she wants. Right. And at this point, I don't think that the perception of her going back and getting her daughter phases her at all when it comes to people thinking that she's losing power.
And even with her constituents, her whisperers, they're not ever going to question her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They will never question
No one will, not even Beta. In the comics, Beta tries to question her on something, and Alpha quickly comes back and gets him for it.
It was another whisperer that questioned her in front of Beta.
In front of Beta, yeah.
And she straight killed him.
Yeah, so you don't question her methods. She does what she wants. If she breaks her own rules, fine, but that's because that's what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, like we said, Henry goes out after Lydia leaves a note. Connie wants to go with Daryl. I've heard I've been seeing a lot of things that people are wanting Daryl and Connie to get together.
A ship?
Yeah, get a ship going. I don't know about that.
It would be Daryl's first.
That would be interesting, though. But I do like Connie a lot. I mean, she says that she can't live with it either. You know, Daryl can't, Henry can't. You know, we knew Daryl had to do what he had to do, but I know he doesn't. He felt for Lydia. He understands the pain that she's going through. But he had to do it because, like, look, you're not going to not give her back, and then they're just going to kill Alden and Luke right in front of you. Just do it, and then, yeah. But I honestly think if it didn't go that way, I don't think they would have went back after her if Henry didn't go after him. You know what I mean? I think they would have left it.
You think so? You think Daryl would have?
I don't know. I mean, I'm speaking for things that we're never going to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't really know.
Speculation, right? Because we know they are going after her.
I don't know if he would have, but maybe he would have.
Yeah, you know. Other than the Alpha stuff, just to go back to the Kingdom really quick, the important thing about what I noticed from the Kingdom is there was a reference of Jesus in present time. So, was it Carol that referenced him?
Yeah.
Carol says to Ezekiel as he's looking at the charter or something about...
to talk to Jesus.
We'll talk to Jesus about this, bringing in Alexandria and getting this fair going. What's important to note about that is that the Kingdom is completely in the dark right now.
They're so in the dark.
And it's almost sad.
Yeah.
They are going to get blindsided by the Whisperers. Unless these next few episodes give us more and they do find out about it, my prediction is that they will be completely left in the dark all the way up until the fair.
God, I hope not. But it makes
that's sad. It does make sense.
It makes sense. We won't get into it, but it does make sense. But yeah, I felt sad when I heard her say, talk to Jesus. I'm like, man, you don't even know what's going on right now. You guys are going and having a fun time killing walkers in a movie theater, and you have no idea what's going on at the hilltop. And Alexandria knows about it, but you just don't know.
But how messed up is that? That just bothers me more about Michonne.
Yeah.
That just pisses me off more about Michonne. And you better redeem her character in the Scars episode, because right now I'm not too happy about that. I mean, how ruthless and stupid are you to go back to your community and hide in your shell and not inform another community of an impending doom that is coming?
I think it's coming, because I know that maybe some of those synopses that we saw, it kind of reads into it that I think a lot of things are going to get people are going to be blindsided by a lot just because the information is not getting around. So, I can't wait. Yeah. But it's going to be insane.
One last discussion point before we close out this video is the mystery symbol.
Yeah, we mentioned it. I think we'll probably wait till predictions.
You want to do that in predictions?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think our initial prediction is I believe it's a Whisperer territory marker, but we'll get into that in the predictions. I think that's going to come up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get into that later. This is our
I got
review
a
of the
really
episode.
good prediction about that, actually. So,
All right.
yeah, stay tuned, guys, for our predictions. Let us know what you thought of episode 11 of The Walking Dead Season 9 Bounty.
Yeah, guys, so feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the video a quick like. That helps support the series, and we truly appreciate it. Follow us at NocBro Nation on Twitter and Facebook. Once again, I'm Daryl.
And I'm Josh.
We're NocBro Nation.
We're out.